Hey, what's up, people? Hey, what's up? What's up? What's going on, people? Just had to make some minor adjustments. We're a little late, but we're gonna make it work today because that's what we do. Today, oh, oh, today. But guess what? We're still in the building process, so we can just make stuff work. We don't even have to be like, "Ooh, this not what's going on." We're still in the midst of Women's History Month, and I am really excited that we are at episode number 7 for season number 2. Come on now, just give it up for season number 2. And I'm really excited just about all of our guest hosts that we've had over these last first 7 episodes. Well, the first episode it was just me solo, but the we've had a number of lovely young ladies who have stepped in, and we'll have a couple gentlemen that's going to join us also for this season. And I'm just really. You have to understand what it feels like to be. Let me just first say, hey Jay, how are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm great.
What is
Mother
going
is feeling
on?
good tonight. Mother is feeling great tonight.
Okay. Entrepreneurship will do that to you when you
Yeah,
realize you are
it
your
really
own
will.
boss.
I'm trying.
Um,
I'm out here trying.
and I'm happy that you are in the midst of Women's History Month in this finding. I know you've been doing this. You've been starting this up and coming up with this before then, but I'm just really happy. And I was that friend who after school, after high school, decided to work and be this artist. And, all my college friends was trying to find quote unquote real jobs. And I
Hmm.
was the one that just struggled my way through. And I had my benefactors throughout this journey. And what I call a benefactor is a job that definitely helps to pay the bills and helps to maintain the dream and keep the dream going. But I watched a lot of my friends look at me like I was crazy because they knew there was uncertainty in my day to day in terms
Right.
of having that steady paycheck. And I was very much so a different person when a steady paycheck was coming in versus when it wasn't. Um,
Hmm.
I was
Oh,
very
I
creative.
understand.
Right. But it's been a joy watching you and many of my other friends put their toe in the water of entrepreneurship. Even though that's what we've been all doing, it's just that fear of really stepping into it and living in it.
Yeah.
And you and your newest adventure, your herbal tea line, uh,
Yes.
uh, are these is tea vegan?
Yeah. Yes, tea is vegan and it's all caffeine free. So that was one of the things I wanted to make sure that whatever I
Okay.
develop in our herbal blends did not contain caffeine, because a lot of my clientele are people who are suffering from different chronic issues, and people who have, even like myself, I have fibroids, and I didn't know that I had a
Okay.
fibroid until I was pregnant with my third child. And it just kept growing. So I had to do my research and figure out what was going on and how I can help kind of
Mhm.
aid it to shrink and things of that nature. So I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and just go ahead and do this. Because if I can
Right.
heal myself and heal some other people or help, you know,
Now I know
aid.
my mother and my sister, both my mother and my sister suffered from that, and
Mhm.
they eventually had to have their. I'm telling all their business, but it's helping
They,
somebody else had their uterus removed. I think my sister has it, but my mother has had a hysterectomy, and
oh, okay.
and I believe my sister then developed the same symptoms that my mother had, and
Mhm.
we are realizing that, and I don't want to bash doctors and scientists for putting everything on genetics, but I think they what they meant was if your mom has something, you have a higher chance of having that same thing yourself,
Right.
only because of our behavior,
Mhm.
not necessarily because we share the same DNA. Often
Mhm.
that is a reason because we have the same behavioral traits, but you have definitely been, working for a number of years to break yourself of those habits you have and venture over into this world of eating grass and hay and such. And I'm saying that because it's never been. I've always eaten vegan,
He said I eat rabbit food.
right?
It's okay.
But it's just the thing of it's just getting over the textures of the food,
Yeah.
and it's not real chicken. Like if you know what a Popeye's chicken, a spicy breast tastes like, is you not gonna recreate that in no shape, fashion, or form.
But you're not in love with the chicken because chicken has no taste. It's not the chicken that has the taste. It's the herbs and the spices that you use to make the chicken taste like how it tastes, and that makes it
Okay, but
appealing to
we
you.
still know the difference between the chicken taste
Chill.
and that other stuff taste.
I'm a,
And
I'm gonna bring you.
I'm
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
bring you.
battle with you, but
Mm-mm.
we just
I'm
know.
gonna bring you a spicy chicken sandwich that I'm gonna
Okay.
make for you. I'm gonna hook you up. You're gonna be like, "Oh, girl,
You've been
this is
saying
like
this.
Popeyes.
I
This is
had to trick you. I had to
Popeyes."
trick you at some point to make you cook for me. But then after that was over, I haven't seen a plate yet.
Uh,
I'm just saying
oh,
I've
the
been promised a
shade of
lot
it
of
all.
plates.
The shade of it all. Am I on a beach with palm
I
trees?
mean, but we're definitely it's a realness to it. It's
Yeah,
definitely a realness to it because you haven't fixed me anything. But
I got you. I got you.
I've dedicated this pandemic time to um trying some new things. Like today I had a vegan burger
Okay.
with gluten-free bread. And people, I know a lot of people are, like gluten-free, 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 gluten-free. But it's not just for people with celiac disease.
Mhm.
But if you are diabetic, you have to stay away from carbs that turn into sugars and
Mhm.
sugar itself. It's
Mhm.
not good for you. And I'm in a real pre-diabetic phase, and
Oh, I didn't know that.
gluten free, and it's just I don't. It just came up like, and I think probably because in the beginning of this pandemic, I was definitely like um consuming a lot of bread is I guess is my weakness,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize how many things that in terms of carbs outside of bread that I very much so enjoy. Uh, but not even enjoy that I just naturally eat because I don't eat a lot of different things.
Right.
And
You
what I
you
do
don't.
eat, like, it's a lot of chicken tenders or chicken that, that I eat. And a lot of that stuff is breaded. So that's where the carbs are coming from.
But have you noticed a
Starches.
difference? Have you noticed a difference in how?
I'm gassy. I
But
noticed
that's what
that
I
difference.
mean. That's going to happen. But I got you. I'm gonna put together something for you because I didn't know about that pre-diabetes thing. So we're gonna get that under wraps.
Yeah. So a lot of gluten-free things allow you to be able to have certain things without the carbs. There's still things that have even vegan things that have carbs in it.
Hmm.
But you have it be that's
But
why they say
that's because you're
diabetic
getting the
is
store bought.
well, it's even there's still things that has carbs in it based on the ingredients you use in it, even if you're cooking it yourself. So I've had to try things that like I tried the zucchini noodles
Hmm.
and crumble, and I made some spaghetti because I love spaghetti. But
And how was that for you?
I mean, it was just the texture. You got to
But you
get
know what
over
you
the
could do
texture.
instead of doing the crumbles? Because I'm pretty sure you got the crumbles from like Gardena or something like that? Is that how you say it?
I used to eat. I had eaten that brand, but that brand doesn't.
Okay.
Um,
And you know
I
you
don't
gotta
like that
you gotta
brand.
watch out for a lot of these brands because it contains soy.
Yeah, and that's where
And
my
that's it.
breasts are coming from.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, but but yeah. So
Hold my mule, Lord.
I'm just
Sorry.
it's the reality. But you don't know what you're eating, and
Yeah.
that's the problem. Even in vegan, that's
But
why they're fat vegans because you still don't know what you're eating.
I was gonna say instead of using the crumbles, and I know this might sound weird, but if you take like walnuts, and I'm sure you've seen this on
Yeah,
many TikToks or many different things. But if you take walnuts and even quinoa and blend it all together, like
yeah,
chop it up really well, that can give you the same texture as meat and just season it. That's all you got to do. Season it. Still use. I mean, I probably wouldn't use store bought tomato sauce. I'll probably get tomatoes and make my own sauce because a lot of times,
See,
even
that's
like if
why you
you have
need this damn restaurant, and you need to stop
no,
playing because I'm not doing all this. It's too much. My
I'm
kitchen,
not. Oh
I
Lord,
don't use my kitchen. It looks the same as it did when I first bought this place 8 years ago. I don't use it,
oh, it's so clean.
but
Nothing's been touched.
nothing.
You're
But
crazy.
so I say all that to say we're going to be putting together a package, so we'll be promoting the urban diva, the herbal diva. I said the urban diva, the herbal because she's very urban.
Her too.
Uh,
Her too.
the herbal diva, and that's EEVAH. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay.
DEE-VAH.
Oh, there we go. So
Yes.
we'll be talking a little bit about that in our journey. I'll kind of give that some dosage in our infomercial, if you will. But
Mhm.
today we're here for a special reason, and that is we're this is the podcast. I know some people going to listen to this and was like, "What the hell are they talking about?" This is
Right.
not the artist exchange. But George isn't here, so I had to make up for the conversation that him and I normally have. And we want to help artists, actors, directors, all those things to promote themselves beyond just the films that we're talking about. And this platform is definitely to discuss and highlight the historical, social, and cultural impact that these films, TV shows, and eventually, as we open back up from this pandemic, plays.
Lord, I can't
And
wait for that.
right, and the things that we had, these how they've had an impact on us. And today is a little bit different. Today is a different kind of lineup. I think that's what happened to George. He was nervous. Uh, but this is a different lineup, and we're talking a little bit about old Hollywood today. And we
Yes.
know as artists, old Hollywood, the depictions that we as Black people and people of color had, or simply anybody that wasn't white or wasn't seen as white, had the struggle we had in our voice being heard, as in us being taken seriously, and us being just, an image of us outside of
Hmm.
a maid or butler or cartoon character being talked about. And today we have a couple different movies, five to be specific. We're going to talk about Carmen Jones, which was a groundbreaking movie, in that it was an entirely black cast. A lot of money at a very racially charged time was put into making this film, and it was definitely Dorothy Dandridge's breakout role, along with Harry Belafonte, and both of them made this movie what it is. And many people don't really know it, but is an awesome film. We're going to talk about All About Eve, which is a ruthless film,
Which
if
is
I've
like,
ever
oh,
seen it.
yes. Yes. Sorry.
But then we Some Like It Hot,
Mm,
um, Roman Holiday, and I think that's it. Roman Holiday. Oh, and Psycho.
and Psycho.
Psycho is kind of the baby of the bunch, but it definitely still was in that black and white old Hollywood theme. But So that's the conversation today. It's not going to be. I'm not going to make it as racial today because we're going to give these white ladies a chance, and we're going to talk
Don't do
about the
that.
significance, the
Do not do
content.
that.
We have to be honest. And I'm growing older, and that's the old man that I'm gonna be. I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want to say out my mouth.
Oh, shit.
Uh, I'm just preparing the world. So let's get into it. I'm ready. Damn. Here we
Damn.
go. So let me get the first one up. Um, Let me put my banner up so y'all know to like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. Um, Yeah. So let me So
So
the first film that we have, let's get into it. Some like it hot. Now, I'm gonna say first of all, Marilyn Monroe. People see her in two different ways. As
mhm,
one ditzy individual that probably got her stardom from her curves and her pretty face. But then there's a side of Marilyn Monroe that we are probably learning now, and some people probably have always known, but definitely we're learning if you watch her on camera. Well, not even on camera, us being actors, how smart you have to be an actor. Like
mhm,
you have to be thinking in the moment, but yet as a character, you have to remember lines and blocking, and you can't be a dummy doing that. Now I
not at
know
all.
you're airhead actors, but it's very hard to be dumb and be an actor because there's too many things going on at one time that you have to be totally aware. You're in a present moment, and then you're in
Mhm,
whatever world this play is in. And some people really have accused her of being this dumb blonde, but she was incredibly talented in that she played that up. She used her attributes to get seen and get heard, and then
mhm,
she dropped some really great moments in many of the films. And many people don't realize that Marilyn Monroe was somewhat of an activist, and that she helped many black performers, both musical and actors,
mhm,
uh, be seen. There was a great relationship between her and Ella Fitzgerald, as
mhm,
well as Billie Holiday, that people don't realize, and that specifically for Ella Fitzgerald, she made it possible for her to play in certain clubs, in certain arenas, and throughout her career as their friendship kind of bud. And they wasn't friends prior to that. It was just that Marilyn Monroe saw her, liked her, and wanted to help her along the way. And there were some accounts of her doing the same thing for Billie Holiday in a different way with their friendship. But some like it hot. What did you, you know, this
I
is
thought it
kind
was
of
I
our
thought it was
humble.
lukewarm.
But a lot of these black and white films, I call it smart humor
Mhm,
because everything was so subtle. Even though this one, we see these two men try to pass themselves off as women,
right.
uh, and so that becomes the running joke of it all. And cross dressing becomes something to be ridiculed in this and laughed at. But um, a lot of these black and white films were just doused in subtle humor and double entendres and things that you wouldn't think would be obviously what at that time they had a lot more censorship than we have now too.
Mhm.
But so you didn't like some like it
I mean,
hot?
it was cool. That's,
Uh-huh.
I mean, but it wasn't one of those things where I would be like, oh, it's on TV. Let me
Uh-huh.
rewatch it. I don't think I
Yeah.
would be that excited to rewatch it. I do like the fact that it seemed like everybody had their own individual story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like their own
Yeah.
individual motive in the piece. So you got to see it from different angles. You got to see it from Marilyn Monroe. You got to see it from Jack Lemmon. And I like him. You know what I mean? Like, cause he's the dude that's in those grumpy old movies, the grumpy old men movies.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do. So I do enjoy him, and I think he has really great comedic timing. So I do enjoy him. It wasn't
Yeah.
one of those things where I was like, "Oh, this is so hilarious," but there were moments where I was like, "Okay, I can get with it." I just would not go out to find it. So if you never put this on the list for me to watch, I probably wouldn't have.
But it was it was definitely a popular movie. Like
That's what my
I
mom said because I told her the list that I had to watch, and she was like, "Oh, that is going to be so good. It is so funny." And I hope she's
I'm gonna have
listening
to get
right
your
now.
mom on here because maybe she likes some stuff. Maybe she likes things more than
No,
you
no,
do.
no. Let me tell you something. If you think I'm bad, my mama is 1,000 times worse. She don't like nothing. She'll. I
But
tell you.
this was definitely one of because of the cast of
Yeah.
performers. this was definitely a very popular movie. George gets into the technical awards and stuff like that, and I don't care about
Right,
stuff like that. Uh,
right.
but it definitely was very popular. I believe it won a couple awards, but it definitely was very popular in that it was Marilyn Monroe's kind of um, breakout move,
Mm-hmm.
but she got paid significantly less than the actual lead actress that got top billing. But as you can
Right.
see, in most of the promotions, it
It's her
was
face.
Marilyn Monroe
Yeah.
because they used her face. So the industry used her looks and was upset that she used her looks. And almost it felt like they were mad that she began to use her looks when she realized how smart she was.
She learned the
Um,
game. She learned the
right.
game. And she was like, you know what? This is going to get me into the door.
Uh-huh.
Let me accentuate my curves and make sure you see me on display. But when I
Right.
come in there, I got something to show you. And I will agree with you on that because I was one of those people that thought that Marilyn Monroe was going to be like this ditzy kind of person, because
Hmm.
like even with like when they do like celebrity imitators and things like that, they
Right.
always portray her as the ditzy blonde with the
Yeah.
famous white dress and oh my dress is up and things like that. But
Uh-huh.
she is smart, and I think a lot of times people look down on people who typically accept the quote unquote being uh, uh,
She was
typecast.
definitely I hate to compare her to a Kim Kardashian because I think
Well,
she
Kim's
actually has the
smart too.
ability. Right,
Kim
but
Kim's smart.
that's right. In terms of the entertainment field, she would be comparable to a Kim Kardashian today, or one of
Hmm.
these actresses that know how to take controversy and use it for their as an attribute and not
Right.
as a hindrance. But I enjoy I I enjoy this film because it's not numbing or mind numbing entertainment, but it's definitely a um it was entertainment for us to be able to just enjoy.
Yeah.
It wasn't, anything political about it or racial about it. It was just it was funny to me. And that was it. That really was it. Because a
Mm.
lot of these movies are about nothing. It's really about nothing.
Oh
Rich people
Lord.
problems, pretty people problems,
Oh
and that's
Lord.
the instinct of it. That's I mean the gist of it. But this was a funny movie. I wouldn't say it was my favorite, but that phrase has ever since I first saw it, "Some like it hot." It's been in my mind forever, and I randomly say that a lot when I first saw this because the movie did stick with me, but it wasn't like
Okay.
my favorite. And I love black and white films in general,
I do
just the
too.
look of it. But that was something like it hot.
I'm gonna
Wasn't
check it
so
out.
hot.
No, I mean, I think any and everything is worth giving it a try.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I
I don't think
agree.
we should be closed minded to things. It should be like, okay, well, Jay said it was lukewarm. It wasn't even hot, but you should still give it a try because our tastes are different. I
Yeah,
like certain things, you like certain things. We're not all going to agree, but everything is worth giving it a try. At least one go around.
at least one. At least one. At least one. So that was something like it hot. I'm really shocked as to what you like and what you don't like. It's
I,
really
I
it's
think that
really
you're finding out a lot about me, and
yeah. Cause
depending
this
on
type of film I wouldn't even have expected for you to like it or the genre of films that you like. It's like
that's because you think I'm a thug.
well, I mean, thugs have, very taste.
I
They're
got
not all
feelings.
one sided. So I'm gonna go to the baby of the bunch next.
Oh,
Psycho.
psycho.
What did you like about Psycho?
So okay, so I remember being at Villa Julie, and because that's the first college I went to, because I went to several, but I went to Villa Julie, and in my TV and film class, we had to do Alfred Hitchcock movies. So we did
Right.
Psycho and we did Birds. first of all, one thing that I was intrigued by, because he decided to put in black and white because he said that he didn't feel like the audience could
Right,
handle all, like, blood and gore and stuff like that, even though it wasn't
right.
a lot when the murder thing happened. I like it. I like crazy. So anything that's like,
So this was
oh,
considered a psychological thriller, not
and I
necessarily a
loved it.
horror
I
movie.
I loved it. I loved the fact that the whole time, what's her name? Marion, is that her name in the movie?
Mhm.
Like, the just thinking that you thought you knew what the plot was going to be, like when she first left and the cops are behind her, right? So she's looking, thinking
Mhm.
that the cops are after her and things like that, so you automatically think, oh, this is how this is going to go, they're going to catch her. And that's not how the movie goes at all. And then
Mm.
you have Norman Bates, who you're like, oh, he's crazy, or he's a peeping Tom. But I think his thing is he doesn't know how to deal with his feelings. And not saying killing folk is how you deal with your feelings, but it was definitely, it was good. I like anything where I'm like, what's next? And that's kind of how I felt about Psycho, because it was like, okay, is he really gonna, like, how far will he go? You know what I mean? Like, trying to tap into the mind of a crazy person, and
Mm.
trying to understand where they're coming from. But I love Psycho.
And this wasn't the first psychological thriller, but it's one of the more famous ones.
Hmm.
Um,
You didn't
but
like it?
and this was Jamie Lee Curtis's mom. If any,
Yeah.
like, I'm a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis. This was her mom, and then years later she did a remake of it. Um, and I really I like psychological dramas. Like, I love, like, the Silence of the Lamb
Hmm.
movies in that vein, and that movie kind of came from this. And oh, I forgot my thought, but these movies were considered oh, well, psychological dramas, but the actresses in them became the scream queens.
Hmm.
And that whole notion of the damsel in distress in the horror movies, films like this kind of played it up, but this wasn't done so it wasn't so campy and so ridiculous, but it more so was, it kept you on the edge of your seat. And I
Right.
and I I like the choice of Alfred Hitchcock choosing to put it in a black and white format, because it
Hmm.
made it just that much more, like, the score, the strings being played as the score of the movie, like, definitely just I found myself, like, just as excited as I did when I first saw it.
Yeah.
When I was really young and I saw this, because I'm one of them people, I don't watch horror movies at night. I don't,
Listen, listen, and
especially that I live alone. I don't
right,
do that.
I'm gonna let you in on a
Uh-uh.
little secret, because I remember, I'm scared of birds because of Alpha Hitchcock, the movie
Yeah.
The Birds.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
telling you now, like, if I see a swarm of, if I see oh, Father God, I'm running and I'm not leaving the house. I'm like, no, and I'm dead serious. My mom is like, I go pick my mom up. She's like, it's just birds. I'm like, listen, you can come to the car if you like, because I'm not getting out. That's how we roll it today. Like, but he
Yeah.
did such a great job, and I know that there was something written about the movie, about him making sure that he did it the cheapest way possible, because he felt like, if the way he did it, like with the camera not being as
Made it look real
expensive,
grainy. Yeah.
yeah, it just
Yeah.
gave you more of a feel. So I think, like, he did it from,
Yeah.
it was done really, really well,
And this
and
is this is why I'm not a fan of sequels or things of that nature. Because I think the attention to the details in the original is often
mhm,
lost in subsequent, remakes or sequels. But also, these movies, the reason I love old Hollywood, I don't like the racist aspect of it or the misogynistic aspect of it, but I like the attention of detail.
mm,
One, they had budgets, because even if he didn't spend a lot of money on this, it was a lot of money spent to make it look like it wasn't a lot of money spent.
right, right,
But I love the attention of detail that old Hollywood have had, and I wish portion of that can be brought in today's movie making.
mm.
where not only is the script and the actresses actors smart, and the concepts are smart, but the techniques were smart. It wasn't
Mhm.
like trying to cut corners, or trying to get things done in a week's time so you can rotate and do the next project. But a lot of time, like movies like this took months to make.
Right.
It wasn't a lot of, and I know budget wise now, with most things being independent films now, or being done on streaming networks, a lot of the money is put into the actors' budget, paying the actors versus all of the special effects and all of the, and then special effects were probably manually done.
Mhm.
Like those birds and a lot of the blood and gore. You like now that we've taken acting and we've been on stage, we know. Oh yeah, I can tell what happened there.
Right.
But it's still because the movie was made so well. It doesn't matter unless it's like a real cheap movie. Like it doesn't matter that we can see the special effects
Mhm.
happening or the setup to the special effects. But this was one of those movies that I still, and even the remake with Jamie Lee Curtis, it still was very reminiscent of the original. They stayed very close to the original, very close. Other than it being an up to date movie, uh,
Mhm.
it was done very well. But I love this movie. It made me, it made me, it made me just crazy. I watched it in the morning time. I still don't, especially living alone. I don't watch movies like this at night.
Right.
I don't because the wind blowing. The light is on. I'm sleeping with the lights on.
He's
I'm
like,
that
we're not doing that.
right. As easy, as creative as I am, it's very easy for me to have a nightmare,
Oh,
and
I
it ain't
understand.
happening. So
He's
that
like,
was
"No."
Psycho. Was there anything that you didn't like about it?
Nope. And like
Okay.
this is something that I would, when it comes on, I watch it.
Okay.
Even though
Okay.
I know what's going to happen, because it was done very well. Like
Yeah.
I appreciate things from not, and I know, like you said, you're surprised about the things I like and what I don't like. But I was very pleased with everything. Like a lot of times, it's the simplicity of things for me,
Right.
and I don't need a whole lot going on in the movie. You know,
And it
for
wasn't.
me,
A lot of the movies that were done like this around us, it wasn't overly done.
right,
Sometimes a horror or psychological thriller can be over, especially with acting and special effects. But it
right.
seemed like it was done. It was at a tasteful level on both sides.
It was just enough. It was
Yeah,
just enough. So yeah, I
yeah,
think I would recommend this movie every time it comes on.
yeah. I really enjoyed it. It was really like it was. I hadn't watched it in so long, but
Hmm.
it was really something that I enjoyed. It definitely was. So what's next? What's
What's
next? What's
going? What we got
next?
next?
We have Roman holiday.
Okay.
So
So wait a
I
minute.
never liked this movie.
First of all, I don't like Audrey Hepburn. Right? Is it this lady's
Yeah.
name? Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not a big
Audrey
fan of her.
Hepburn.
But however, I was surprisingly pleased with this
Hmm.
movie. Like I was surprised because one, I thought it was going to end differently than what it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like the course of their relationship was going to totally end this a different way, and it didn't end the way I thought. So for that reason, I also
Yeah.
liked it.
It
Because what I
wasn't
don't
it wasn't as typical as you thought it was gonna be.
Right, right, because I really thought it was going to be one of those love stories and she leaves everything for the man. You know what I mean? Because in a lot of
Mhm.
cases, that's what happens. Like, oh, I'll denounce everything and love
Got
you and
you,
make
didn't it?
babies. Huh?
I
What you
said
say?
it got you.
Right. And I was like, oh,
Thought
okay.
I was gonna leave my riches for you.
Right. But
Nada.
I liked it.
Mhm.
I liked their connection. I even liked it. First of all, I was like, well, how many times do we often feel like we need to be free from our daily life? Because that's really what it started off with. Like she goes on this whole
Yeah.
journey because she feels like she's bound and confined to her duties, to her country, and to the throne. And it's like, How often do
Mhm.
we feel like that? Where we're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like my day is so mundane. It's the same thing. I say yes, I say no, I do
Yeah.
this, I don't do that. And it's like for that, I could connect to her on that level. I still don't
Mhm.
particularly think she's the bee's knees, but it was a good
Yeah.
it was a good movie. I love the fact that it was done in, Rome, Italy. So
Mhm.
you got the different
The spectacle and the scenery.
yeah, and the different language because that's like the love language and all that good stuff. But I
Yeah.
just thought it was really good, and I thought that he was able to. I like the fact that he wasn't grimy at the end.
Yeah.
You
Even
know
though
what I
he was
mean?
grimy in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how most men are. Y'all start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're
Shout out
half
to my baby
past
father, don't
that,
say.
so I'm just saying. I, it's not that a lot of this formula and the formula in making films, even in today's world, is the pretty face. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes about a hairdo or a look, and then the content is like, oh yeah, let's add some lines in there. And we see
Right.
that even in today's milk movie making, is always the typical or the pretty face. And not that I don't think I'm sexy or anything, because I do think I'm sexy. Uh, it's more so. It's normally quantity over quality,
Yes.
and I hate this idea that and this was kind of the formula for Hollywood, old Hollywood. Like they would definitely you had to be a certain way to be the leading man, uh, to be the leading woman. It was, and in this it became about her haircut and her pristine look, and but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like she was really acting, and a lot of it was bad acting. Like she was supposed to have been given a sleeping sedative, a sedative in the beginning of this, so she was very loopy, and she managed to,
She made
fall
it
asleep
far.
in this right. Like it was so. And sometimes I look at some of these films, even the ones that I like, and be like, "This is horrible acting.
Yeah.
Like this is not good." So when we come across the meteor actors that where it's really good, or the person who you think will be like a Marilyn Monroe, like a Dorothy Dandridge, you like this is not. I'm not. I don't think I've ever said I'm not a fan of Audrey Hepburn, but
Yeah.
people know her more for her dressing, not
Yeah.
her
It's like
acting. We
her
don't really.
iconic look. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when you think of Breakfast and Tiffany's, I can't even tell you anything about that movie, and I think I've saw it with like both my eyes open, but my mind was turned off. But the one thing that sticks out is always no,
Because you
seriously. But
thought it
when
was gonna be something
yeah,
good.
and it
Mhm.
wasn't. But
Right.
like when people think of that, they think of the iconic look that she had: the black dress, the pearl necklace, the long cigarette, the hair up, and the bun. Like those are the
Right.
things that you remember. And I really can't take away, like you said, any good acting moments. But I think for this movie, the storyline, the
That was so
storyline was good.
big, but it was very
I'm just
true.
saying, I think the storyline in this movie was good enough to make it
Yeah.
enjoyable. Where it kind of was like once he got involved in the film, once his character got introduced
Yeah.
into the film moved because he had other people who helped move the film with him, like his friend, the photographer, and
Yeah.
things of that
That
nature.
was
But
his
everybody else, child, I
along
was
for the
like,
ride that was
yeah, I
going
was
with,
like,
yeah.
I could do without her. I was like,
And it
she
could
wasn't
have been it
necessary.
was this movie could have been so much better if she was, but I guess that was who she was supposed to be in this.
Yeah.
These movies were built around these stars.
But she kind of
You
seems to
know,
be the same person in every movie. So I'm looking for a
yeah,
movie where
because they
I'm
because
like,
they built the story around that
yeah,
character. You know,
mm,
seldomly was there a film, and we're thinking more of theater. When we talk
right,
about theater actors from that time, the play often came first, and then that actor infused themselves in it. But a lot of
hmm,
these industries, film companies use the actor, so they had these actors on payroll, and they were making movies for that actor to look. their absolute best. So it was like these stock movies that were
Right.
made, and then they put these actors in it, or rather, they put these movies, around an actor or actress, and it was definitely this was definitely one of those like cookie color Stepford movies where
Mm-hmm.
where you could tell this was put around her image because it became about her image and not. I've never heard anybody talk about loving her acting. They just love her style.
Yeah, nah. Nah.
Yeah.
I, I mean, I know I've mentioned her a couple times, and like, except for my mama, because my mama was like, "You gonna love this movie," and I was like, "Mama, I don't like her." And she was like, "No, she is good," and I'm have to let her know, be like, "Nate didn't like her either." How about that?
I mean, but you can tell what role she had in this.
Yeah.
You can tell. Um, you can tell the work that was put into it, but it still was so typecast. Like I'm sure they found her first, and then him, and then everybody else was like, "Who's available?" Like
Right.
it wasn't necessarily like we have this great script, and Audrey will be so good for this. Like
Mm-hmm.
it just it was great, but that whole slow way of talking and so I don't like it. I like a little bit of grit. I like a little bit of you gotta squint to see them as that character a little bit. I like stuff like that.
Right.
And I like when a character super exceeds, that like a Marilyn Monroe, like a Dorothy Day that we're gonna talk about a little bit later on. But I like that where you
Wait.
gotta like really look at the movie.
I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
liked it. I liked it, and you should watch it because the storyline was good. And although she's not that great,
Yeah.
you might enjoy it. It's like, it's a chill movie. You
It
know,
is. It
it's a chill
definitely
movie.
it is. I mean, it's a cool movie because I watched it yesterday. And it was a easy like I was doing other stuff, I was cleaning up, but it was something that kept my attention, but you know, it didn't necessarily make me snooze, but it could have been better, you
So
know.
if this came on TV next week, would you say, "Oh, it's on. Let me watch it"?
No, because I
Oh,
just
okay,
watched it. Because I already
got
watched
you,
it.
got
Maybe in a
you.
couple years it may like, oh, okay. You know how like 7-Eleven sells those black and white movies, and I remember getting this movie from a 7-Eleven
Oh, Father. Okay,
when it was a DVD. You know how
I
they
got
sell like
you.
the old DVDs in there,
Yeah.
and it just looked like an interesting because I had never seen it before,
Okay,
and I watched it and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. I mean, oh, let me pause it. I'm gonna come back to this.
I got you.
It wasn't something that I could just. But I did like the whole story that was going on. I did like the story. It just wasn't
See,
like
we
I
agree
wanted
on
a little bit
something.
more.
We
Maybe if
agree
it
on
was more
something.
sex in it. Maybe if he had ravished her that first night. Maybe that
Oh
would.
Lord.
I'm just saying, but it needed something, not necessarily sex, but it needed something to like a monkey wrench thrown in
But wait
there
a
or
minute, if they
something.
had sex the first night and then his scheme, and then he put his scheme into play the next morning, you would feel some kind of way about him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so,
but I would have loved to hate him then.
okay.
Not like, oh, I know how this, like you said, you thought it was going to end typically,
Yeah, I did. I did.
and we didn't get the plot twist to the end, but it wasn't like you know, we've seen these movies before where he has information that she doesn't know and he's using it and he's going to get something out of it and then his brain hair friends are being
Right.
brought into it. Like this is a typical Hollywood plot, but I just needed something, throw something different. Like she get pregnant or something, like something, where her life would never be the same, even if
Then
she
we,
doesn't end up with him or something. But
if she got pregnant, then you would have to endure a whole nother Roman holiday part two. And I don't think that's what you would want.
No, I would not want that. I need them to leave room
Right.
quickly. Quickly leave room.
Oh, Father.
But this takes us to our next film, and I'm trying to save. I mean these last two. So which one
Wait
do you
a
want
minute.
to do
Wait a
last?
minute. Wait a minute. I know you're not about to do Queen Mother before that Carmen Jones, because I'm gonna be very upset.
So you want to do Carmen Jones first?
Yeah, let's get that over with.
First of all, I don't appreciate you treating Miss Dorothy Dandridge as if she's just
I'm
second fiddle.
I'm not, but I'm just saying if you're going to do the Queen Mother, you need to save the Queen Mother for last, please. Thank you.
I see. This is the part. Uh, this is the fake thug that I'm speaking about.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
But which is very interesting because we watched this in the first season. We watched this movie in the first season, and George had never seen it before, and he absolutely loved Carmen Jones.
Did he?
Uh, because there's a whole, and I'm speaking about our conversation, not necessarily what he feels,
Okay.
but there's a whole underlying um theme in this in terms of the male's perspective
Hmm.
and how we often throw everything away for what feels good versus
Hmm.
logically thinking and realizing this lady is damaging your life. Like she is not good for you.
Right.
Like let her go. You were already in the service. You were already had a promising, well, he was still black, so it wasn't gonna be but
Right.
so promising. But you had a lot to lose, and you let it go for a hot piece of tail
Well,
with a
you know,
flower in her head,
a high piece of tail will take you to hell and back.
and it did. Like this man ended up in a one-room shack alone, alone with I think but this outside of what the actual storyline was, this film was a great cast of actors uh who we knew, and many of them in their earlier years, who all went on to be iconic actors,
Hmm.
um and not realizing they didn't even want Dorothy Dandridge to begin with. She was not at the top of their list for this film. I don't even think she was in the running. They didn't believe she could pull it off.
Who did they
Um,
want in the beginning?
I know the only actor that I knew that was on the short list was Diane Carroll. Diane Carroll was on the
Really?
short list. So could you imagine Diane Carroll in this role?
I can't. I can't. That's why I'm a little surprised by that.
Right. But a young Diane Carroll, not the diva we knew we were introduced to, but a younger Diane Carroll.
I don't know, because I mean, for real, like the things that stick out about Diana Carroll to me is the diva that we know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I,
So
I
she
would
would have
have
been,
to,
but that's probably why she was in the running because that would have fit her character.
yeah,
But they said Dorothy was not this. This wasn't who she really was.
huh?
And a very tragic life Dorothy Dandridge had, dying very young. We saw the movie that Holly Berry uh, portrayed of her.
I actually did
Um,
not watch that.
you didn't watch it?
No,
It's
I don't
pretty
like Halle
good.
Berry.
So you throw away everything just because you don't
Um,
like.
yeah,
She has some good. Holly Berry is and probably like Dorothy Dandridge. Um, I think a lot of their life mirrored each other. But for um for the movie, it was a pretty interesting role for Holly Berry. But Holly Berry plays. I think Holly Berry does well and better in independent films.
mm,
And Holly Berry became a typecast, and I think
yeah.
that was a detriment to her. and that she allowed Hollywood to pigeonhole her into roles that were typical. That's why people would enjoy her in a movie like Baps more than they did, you know, the Dorothy Dandridge story.
Right.
And
But now
she's
I
a
gotta check that
very
out because I've never watched that. So I'll give
mhm.
that a whirl.
So it tells the story of Dorothy Dandridge from the perspective of um her fans
Okay.
and all the speculation around her life. Like we didn't realize that she had a child, that Dorothy Dandridge had a child who she eventually had to give up because she could no longer afford to care for that child. After one of her husbands left her penniless and broke. Um, and a very phenomenal talent uh, who tragically died. And we hear too many stories like this in the black arts scene. Too
Mhm.
many of our artists die very young without really reaching their fullest potential for reasons that are preventable.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting that Holly Berry has the career that she had and she played her. Also, Whitney Houston uh was supposed to be that character, and Janet Jackson.
Oh,
And we
I wouldn't have
see,
picked Janet Jackson.
well, I mean, in terms of the look, she had the look down.
Yeah.
But we don't know what she would have done with the role. But Holly Berry did a out of the three of them, I think Holly Berry was the right choice. She was really meant for this. Is a scene in that movie that was from her real life.
Mhm.
Because we forget that even though these women, these artists in general, were mega stars, movie
Mhm.
stars, they still were living in a very segregated world.
Right.
And she was allowed to stay in this one hotel, but she was not allowed to swim in the swimming pool of that hotel. And she defiantly stuck her toe in the movie, and they stuck her toe in the pool. They drained the pool and forced the black workers to scrub the pool. Um,
Oh, wow.
and just realizing that is the life that she had to live and endure, but yet she was still able to give us, her talents. And
Yeah.
these are the things that she had. These were kind of the foundations that she did her movies off of. And, again, like Marilyn Monroe, she was a pretty face that
Mhm.
was undeniably beautiful. And nobody really saw her talent because of that. And I liked Carmen because it was something different. It was just different than what we saw black actors. We saw black servicemen. We
Mhm.
saw black entertainers. We saw the tragic black characters. We saw the characters that weren't always good. Carmen was not the protagonist in this. Harry Belafonte was.
Right.
So it really was, it was just something different, and it got to show, different types of black people. It was so many black people in this movie. And I
And I
know
think
at that
that's
it was unheard of.
and I think that's what made me intrigued to watch it because
Hmm.
I wasn't one of those. I've never seen Carmen Jones before yesterday. So
Hmm.
this is my first time watching it, but it was just being able to see us in different forms and different lights throughout the whole movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
And especially since the last episode, the last episode I was on, we did about the maids in Hollywood, the black maids, and
Yeah.
how we being portrayed, even the maid and the butler. So to see us in a different light, like you said, the servicemen, this gorgeous, beautiful black goddess on screen. You know what I mean? It definitely is a power statement, if
Hmm.
nothing else, because while I'm not like, oh, I love the movie. It was cool. It was a good movie. Never trust a big butt and a smile because that girl's
Their
poison. Um,
lips are going.
that girl's poison. But for
Mm.
those reasons of being able to see us on screen and it be all of us, you know what I mean? Like just black. Just, just to be able to see us as a totality and an ensemble of people was a beautiful thing. So for that reason, I will say that I can dig it because it was
And
groundbreaking.
I'm gonna do what George normally does and talk a little bit about just the makeup of it. But it was at the box office at that time. This
Hmm.
movie made $9.8 million. So
Really?
this would have been a blockbuster movie for
Oh
its
wow.
time. Um, and that shows you just how phenomenal the movie was in terms of the audiences
Yeah.
participation in it. And this was definitely probably because of the director and the writer, and because it was based off of a opera. It probably had a lot of crossover appeal, despite it being an all black cast.
Right.
And it was it's just sad to know that we are so many eons past that, but we haven't moved any
At
that
all.
much further past it.
At all.
In
At
terms
all.
of entertainment, how our talent is valued, how our abilities are used and
Hmm.
mistreated, and then how we're just thrown out there. Just you know, this movie is just I just loved it because it forced people to see us and to realize this movie made that much money at the time
Yeah,
is
I did not know that.
astounding. Yeah, it was astounding at that time, and it just uh it it it's sad that every film we have to prove ourselves over again. It's like it's our first movie, and we have a rich history of making this industry money, yet
Hmm.
we're still not valued if we don't have a white person in it, or if we don't have a white director or
Yeah.
white producers. And it really it just in the fact that we still have this level of cattiness within our black community in
Hmm.
the arts, it pains me. It really does. It really, really, really pains me. So I love Carmen Jones. I know I introduced this to George last season, and he fell in love with the story. If you didn't watch that episode, I believe it was like episode 5
I'm gonna
from
have to go back
season
and
one.
watch it.
Yeah, he really, really like, and watch the Dorothy Andrews movie, because then it sets a lot of precedent for where, and they talk about this movie within that movie,
Okay.
because this was kind of her proving herself and her coming out her show. And if you don't, in another tidbit of history on her, her mother was another Hattie McDaniel. Her mother was an actress in Hollywood and
Really?
often played maids in many movies. Yes.
Oh yeah,
Um
I'm gonna have to dig into this because I,
so
I didn't know any of that.
yeah. So it and that's one of the things I wanted to do with this series was just not only just watch movies that we don't normally watch or get people to watch movies that we enjoy, but telling a little bit of the history around it, because a lot of people just think that these people learn, a lot of my friends still think, oh, you just learn lines. Dude, show me something you do. Like if it's just that, you
Mm.
know,
If it
simple.
was only that simple.
Right. And anybody who ever did a play with me, no, it ain't that it ain't that simple.
But you get it done. You get it done though.
By the grace of God every time.
Speaking
I still
speaking of
don't know
which,
how
I
it happened.
I was about to say, speaking of which, I probably need to take a pregnancy test because this is my second time doing this show with you, and every time I do something with you, I'm pregnant. So,
Oh no. I don't know if the world can take another of one of your children, because you already got some handfuls on
listen,
your hands.
they
And
gonna
we
come.
need to
They
put
gonna
them to
name
work.
quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Right. Maybe you need to start adopting. Maybe you need to adopt someone. Just
No,
to,
no.
just give a little yin and yang to the world. Just a
Ooh,
little
Jesus.
balance.
Okay.
Oh, Lord. But this was Carmen Jones. Please watch it. If for nothing, just to see the phenomenal array of actors and actresses and performers who who grew to be icons in their own right. I just saw a beautiful picture of Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte together, and
Oh
they're both
wow.
94 years old, and just to watch them to still, well, we do remember that one of Harry Belafonte falling asleep on an interview, but he deserved it. He deserved his rest. but just watching this film because this is you go see faces that
Mm.
as really young performers, and then you go meet some new faces. So definitely take a look at it. It's worth the worth
It's
the
worth the
watch.
world.
It
Yeah.
is. And our fifth and final film. Now, before I even put the photo up, this film is
The
theater.
best film.
You can call it the best, but it is theater. It is definitely theater. Um,
Oh my gosh.
and I don't know if people like you have to be. It goes beyond you just being a spectator of
Mm-hmm.
theater. You have to have been on the crew at least of a theatrical performance to understand just how accurate this
Mm-hmm.
film was.
Listen, I don't think you. Oh Lord, look at her! Look at her! Hello, Queen Mother. I don't think you understand how excited I was.
This film is
Mm.
it is and actually let me read George sent me a message. Um All About Eve might be in his new top 20 favorite
Boom!
movies of all time.
Boom!
He
Listen,
said that I'm not sure, but I gotta give it a second watch.
George
But
is a
this
smart
joint was
man.
good.
He is a smart,
Well,
smart
we all are, but see,
man.
the thing is, we're all theater actors.
Let me tell
So
you. Mm.
this movie
Yes, Lord.
speaks to something we've seen, something we've experienced. Just that idea of being replaced
Mm.
by a younger, more eager face is. You ever been the lead of a film of a stage play, and
Yeah.
you
So
knew it was people who wanted your role?
listen. All About Eve is the reason why I've never had an understudy or never allowed an understudy on stage because
Mm-mm.
if you've no dead serious, I'm so serious. If you've worked with me, I've
Uh-huh.
been
Uh,
pregnant, I've had strep throat, I've had bronchitis, I've had tonsillitis, I've had the damn near the flu, about to be
mhm.
out. And I'm like, oh fuck that. I'm sorry. Am I allowed to
Uh,
cuss? Sorry.
Go ahead. Do
Forget
you? Do you?
that because you won't pull an Eve on me, bitch. That ain't happening. I'll be like,
Yeah.
no, no.
It. But I've had the experience a couple times
Yeah.
where I've replaced somebody and it
Mm.
wasn't a great look. Well, I didn't know I was replacing somebody, but I ended up replacing somebody, and the whole cast liked that person. They didn't like
Oh
me.
wow.
I've been the lead of a play where other males in that play wanted that lead role and
But
didn't
you
have
had
a
it.
problem with expressing how much they wanted it.
I think
I've
there's a
been,
difference between, I mean,
mhm,
you can express yourself, you know what I mean?
yeah.
That's fine. But it's
When
I,
somebody already has it, shut your mouth.
yeah. Like
Deal
and
with it.
because it wasn't for you. You know what I
It
mean? Like
for
that's what it
whatever
boils down to.
reason,
It wasn't for
whatever
you.
reason, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I've been now academic theater, collegiate theater is a whole nother animal. I've had people come into a rehearsal and try to plead with a director to give them a chance
Are you serious?
while we're standing there and you like, bitch, I already got the role.
Right. Like
Deal
why are
with
you even here?
And not that I think I'm pretty good as an actor. and when I get out of my own way. But I've had people do that. Um,
That's ridiculous.
I've learned. I remember the first time I worked with a meanie. Uh, I was well. It wasn't the first time. It was the first time I was acting in one of her pieces.
Hmm.
We were in a audition process where you know how she like to switch people out,
Yeah.
um, and as she's auditioning, and she asks at the end of the audition who is not willing to have an understudy. And I never heard somebody ask that question before. And I
Hmm.
saw Tanelia raise her hand. I saw Jeff raise his hand. I saw Doug raise his hand. I was like, y'all are unprofessional. Well,
That's what
watching a
you thought
movie
right
like
then.
Eve will let you know because the amount of work that you have to put into a role for
Yep.
you to have to happen to miss one and your understudy come in and sit on all that work that you've done and just get all the
Hmm.
accolades is not what I'm after.
At
And
all.
I don't do no oohs and ahs.
How
And
about
that
that?
that sounds very I know I know where you're coming from with it, but I know for me that sounds crazy. But I've been in that situation where I've been the understudy and had to do the part, and
Yeah.
I've been the lead character who had an understudy under me who wanted to do the part. And I don't know. Your understudy doesn't get a guaranteed date. You get a if something happens date.
Right.
That's what you get.
Right.
And I've seen both sides of it. And this movie, I knew when she turned around and and spoke to her in the alley, I knew she wasn't up to no good.
Uh-huh.
Because who waits in the alley?
Stalkers.
Thank
Murderers.
you. I knew she was stalker-ish and
Right.
from the very beginning.
Yep.
And
She wanted what
she's
she had.
right, she swooped in that lady's life.
Yep.
And in the world of theater, there are people like that.
Hmm.
There are, and I've only done some extra roles in a couple things, but I've never done film that much. But I know in theater there are people like that that
Just
will do
waiting.
whatever they have to do.
Just waiting for you.
It's waiting for you.
Yep.
One of my last plays that I did, I was asked to learn the lines for one of the lead characters.
Hmm.
And there was another gentleman who is just that person who just feels, and typically they're from Morgan. That's because I think they breed those type of actors there. Uh,
The shade.
I mean, just you know it to be true. You're not gonna say it, but you know it's true.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say it
Uh,
though. Hey, Morgan.
but he just swooped in and I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming the director. But that his eagerness and his willingness to do whatever he had to do to be seen, like
Hmm.
and I said I would never put myself in that predicament again. I would never, and for free. Oh no, I would
Absolutely
never.
not.
I would never be an understudy. I wouldn't do it. And I know
Right.
a lot of people be like, "Well, that's how I made my big." That's not gonna be
That's
my
cool for
journey,
you. That's not good for
right?
me.
That's not. And I've learned to, I remember that day when Tanelia and all them raised their hands, and literally, I was the only person who did not raise his hand. And I was like, y'all
Wow.
are because I was a student, stupid. I was like, that's not
You didn't know nothing about
professional.
life yet.
I ain't know nothing. And I was like, y'all raising, what if this is, this gonna be a good play? Like,
Hmm.
never will I ever. But all about Eve. Oh my God. And then how she entrapped the other people into her
Yep.
foolishness.
Yep. Because everybody wants to be on the winning side, right? So
Right.
they want to be with what's popular, and Eve was popping. You know what I mean? She was able to come in and understudy and do what she needed to do and take on this other life, but you could see the intimidation because I believe that's Marilyn Monroe in that movie too.
Yeah,
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 you know what I mean? So here's this hot new thing, you have in
yeah.
Marilyn Monroe. So now it's like, you know, you reap what you sow. You might not reap it the same way you gave it, but you always do. You know what I mean?
And
So
that
it's like
that
one of
was
those
actually
things.
one of Marilyn Monroe lines to her, like, "But you not that good."
Right. Right.
And it spoke a lot about ambition. Spoke a lot to that idea of ambition and what are you willing to do for what you want,
Hmm.
and what line are you willing to cross to
Yeah.
get what you want. I mean, this lady, she went after her man, her friends,
Hmm.
the industry she was in,
Everything.
knowing and people around, and I've maintained who I've been, especially over the last couple years, because I got that difficult label put on me.
Hmm.
And I realized difficult people aren't mean people. They just have to fight. They've had to fight to be where they are and who they are. And sometimes being that bitch is what is
Yeah.
necessary to protect yourself.
Yep.
And she I think her instincts were to be open, but a
Mm.
part of if she would have brought who she had become uh to this, that late Eve would have never got over.
At
Eve
all.
came in and just got an award that she never got, and
Hmm.
got pressed like, how can you be this person?
Mm.
Oh my god, this movie was, and I saw it a long time ago and never applied any of the lessons.
Yeah.
But this time watching it, it made me think about those moments that I was in that space and just, baby, I don't do no oohs and ahs. Uh-uh.
He said,
Dude.
I will not be standing
Uh-uh.
behind the curtain watching you take any credit
I
for the
don't
work
want you
that
to
I
be
put
my
in.
assistant. I don't want you to.
None of
And this movie speaks to a lot of the hesitation I have in working as a team, because it's
mm.
always somebody who wants what you have,
Yeah.
that will smile in your face
Yep.
while all the time just pulling at the threads, the fibers of who you are, and waiting for you
Mm.
to unravel.
So they can have it all because they over
Right.
there knitting their thing together
Yeah.
while you coming
From
apart. They
your
knit.
pieces.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
taking your
Exactly.
pieces. The get you gotcha of this movie that it then happens to Eve.
Uh huh.
Or we see at the end of the film, this is about to happen to her.
Mm.
And how and what would be great, and I'm not a sequel or a part two type of person, but I would have loved to see how it ended for her, because she strikes me as a person that would have fought against it and probably would have made it worse for herself fighting, not like her predecessor,
Right.
who just, understood what it was and let it happen. But again, this movie is strange because what is her name? It's strange in that this lady was only 40 years old and being replaced.
Well, I mean, she was no longer the hot new thing. Like you said, everybody's looking
Right.
for the hot, the new, the fresh face, and all of that jazz. And it's like you want that, but is she going to be able to give you the same things that I'm giving you? You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's
Right.
the thing because with the age, with the experience, she's able to any actress with the Asian experience and have been able to maneuver through this whole industry, that wisdom is going to be put into that character no matter what character they're going to play, you know what I mean, because they've tried it different ways.
So
So
what
they
so why do you like Betty Davis?
oh Jesus, I first of all, Betty Davis is my favorite actress. Did I tell you that?
I'm more of
No.
a Lucille Ball myself.
Okay, I mean she's cool, but Betty Davis
She probably ain't nothing that Lucille
I'm
Ball.
so no, I'm telling you, I love her. I think the first movie I saw of Betty Davis was Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte.
Okay.
and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. So it was like those movies, because those were those psychotic movies as well, right? And
Mhm.
I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, this is I I want to be like, I wanted to act like her. Like
Mm.
when I take on certain roles, like when we did reunion in Bartersville,
Yeah.
and like for me, I knew that a lot of things had to be within my face. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
With certain lines, and with Betty Davis, her acting is throughout her whole body.
Yeah, it
Like,
feels like she is really this person in that moment.
yeah. So for
Yeah.
me, it was like, if anybody I want to uh emulate or be like, I guess, for lack of a better term or whatever, it
Yeah.
would be her, because she took the character and you didn't see her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have her in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. I know it's Betty Davis being her, but I don't see her. You know what
Right.
I mean? So even in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, like I saw her do these horrible things to Joan Crawford, what she deserved, but you know, whatever. I'm not a Joan Crawford fan. But it was one of those things, like she becomes that character. She's so invested. Like, you know, she auditioned to be Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind. But they
Uh,
thought,
it wouldn't
right,
have. Yeah.
at all. But that's why they gave her Jezebel. Because it's kind of
Right.
like the same kind of. I know you're like, she can go on and on about Betty Davis, y'all. I fucking love Betty Davis. So anyway,
She have no information. None of these other games. But she knew
shut up.
Dr. Betty Davis.
But I'm just saying, like she embodies the character that she's going to play, and I'm so glad that
Yeah.
you and George love this movie. I'm going to say love
Yeah.
because y'all loved it. I'm so glad y'all love
Well,
this
for
movie. So
me, it's normally, a catch or go. With George, you should be more shocked that, well, George is still an actor, so
right,
it shouldn't be so much of a stretch. But you know, uh, some of these films, it's hard to watch them because you don't see representation in them other than the maid. There were no black people in this. There were no
no, it
black people
wasn't.
in this movie.
But okay. So, but was it necessary?
It wasn't necessary. It's
Right.
just we knew that even her little assistant was a white lady. You like that would
Well,
have been a
look
black
at
person.
that. We got white people working for white people. Isn't that good too?
Yeah, but that would have been a. But the black person would have been able to have the lines that that white person had.
Well, then
So
you don't need to watch Jezebel because that's just gonna make you upset. So don't watch that one
right.
because I because it's so, you know, us being
That
represented as
when we
slaves and things like that.
when I watch these movies, that's the first thing that I think of because
Okay.
some of my favorite actresses or performers never reach their height because of what they look like. So when I see like Nell Carter I love her more than I love Whoopi Goldberg.
Okay.
I love her more than I love Felicia Rashad because she never had a chance. Like she was given big opportunities,
Mhm.
but because of her size, because of the way she looked, minus her talent, minus her abilities, nobody saw her. And they saw her, but they didn't see her. She
Mm.
was oh yeah, she could do a little yin and yang, 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 yang.
Right.
But look at this over here. Like I still, I still enjoy a lot of movies, but you know, I say it again, I love Lucille Ball because we know her to be a comedic actress,
Hmm.
but she has some dramatic pieces. And people don't realize even with Lucille Ball, and I should have added one of her movies in it, but her last movie was a dramatic piece where she played a homeless woman. And she's had other movies that she's played dramatic roles in. But I look at these actresses and be so pissed off because have you seen that TV series Hollywood?
No.
So Hollywood kind of turns on the head a lot of it exposes a lot of these things that went on in old Hollywood.
Hmm.
Um, the the gay culture that was kind of painted over. with a lot of these leading men. It had a lot of
Mhm.
undertones in it, and it really it kind of showed you the behind the scenes of many of these films, that old Hollywood. But it's still hard for me to look at a lot of these films and not see us in it, or to see us in a corner.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
what you know, even even in a world of talent, we are segregated, we are diminished, we are pushed down, and and one of the reasons I liked All About Eve was because a lot of the ugliness that is our industry was put out there. All of
Right.
these people saw this lady pushing her way in the door, but because they could no longer take the Betty Davis character anymore, they let it happen.
Mm.
At any moment they could have said, "Miss, pump your brakes. This
Right.
ain't you ain't you need to pay your dues a little bit more." But
Right.
because they didn't like her, they didn't like Betty Davis. They let a Eve get by.
Mm.
They built, and look at her friends. Like her
Yeah.
friend was it was implicated. Like she implicated herself in this whole thing, and I was so mad that Betty Davis' character never found out. That's what I wanted to happen. I wanted her to see that the people around her aided this lady, like literally helped her to replace you.
Right.
But
Mm.
it just showed the ugly side. Are there any other films in this vein, films that you would have liked to be added tonight?
Um, no, I think this was a good lineup, but I'm going to suggest some other Betty Davis movies to you. I'll send those to you to your inbox.
Like what?
Oh, first of all, I don't know if you have that on there. Now Voyager,
Okay, okay.
um, Dark Victory, The Letter. The Letter's really good. Like that, yeah, that one was really good. But Now
Obsessed
Voyager,
much?
huh?
I said
What is that?
obsessed much. I'm gonna start
I
calling you now.
listen, when I get Christmas gifts, it's like the collection of Betty Davis movies. It's like the anniversary collection of Gone with the Wind. Like those are the kind of gifts I get because those are the
You
things
just such
that I
a white
really
lady.
enjoy. I'm an old white lady in this gangster body.
Out of
Booyah!
control. It was, and even creating this lineup, it was so many that I because things are popular.
Hmm.
I'm tending to, for this case, for this project that I'm doing, uh I'm trying not to just go to what's popular. I want
Right.
to pull out stuff that we wouldn't typically see, that we wouldn't typically have as our, go-tos. And it's
Hmm.
really just I'm trying to pick stuff that has some controversy attached to it, that has, a little unfamiliarity with it, that people don't really know uh, what it is.
Right.
Stuff that has to grow on you. There's a couple of things that George has suggested that has grown on me. There's a couple of things that I've suggested that's grown on him, and it's just amazing that we can still find conversation in it. That it still has value, and relevancy. I want to turn
Hmm.
that word on its head and really expose it, because a lot of these films that are seen to not be relevant has a lot of is the reason that we have a lot of the things that we have today.
Mm.
You know, Betty Davis is one of those, iconic stars of stage and film that
Hmm.
has allowed many actresses to be able to be seen. Uh, and really, women who take charge of their career. Because
Right.
with her, I know you don't like oh, her name just jumped out my head. Um
Who?
Betty Davis's arch nemesis,
Oh, Joan Crawford.
yeah, Joan Crawford. They became who they were, and they wasn't the typical beauties.
That's very true.
They wasn't, what was typically sought after in these films, but yet they rose to a certain level of iconic statue that at that time was still unbelievable. You
Yeah.
know, Joan Crawford was this towering, tall, wasn't seen as a typical beauty, and Betty Davis was this short, you know, she was cute, but she didn't have
Betty
like
Davis
the
eyes.
hourglass frame that Marilyn Monroe had, or but they did it. Their talent went beyond what anybody physically could see from them.
Right.
And for that reason, that's why I like a lot of these old Hollywood movies, because you get to see glimpses of the ugliness in this industry, and you get to see some breakout moments like a Betty Davis kind of shed some light, and what is typically in today's world of entertainment, none of these people would have been stars. It just wouldn't have happened
Yeah.
because they didn't fit a certain criteria. As a performer, have you ever felt there wasn't a space for you?
I often feel like that. And I think that's part of the reason why I do not perform now to
Hmm.
a certain extent.
Yeah.
Um, it became, because when I came home from New York, let me clarify that because that sounded like I came out of jail. When I came home, when I came home from,
I knew
look,
it. I knew
look, I
it.
was
I
a
knew it was
person.
gonna
I did
come
that
out.
time. No, I did not. When I was in New York and I came
Big
home from,
Bertha. Okay.
and I came home from, acting school, it was kind of hard to kind of get in a rhythm because my first acting gig when I came back home in 2007
Hmm.
was with Fells Point Corner Theater.
Okay.
And it was their playwrights festival. And,
Okay.
I wasn't what they were looking for. And the director told me this at the end. Like, he gave me a trophy and everything at the end. He said to me that I was not the look that they were looking for. Because, I'm big, I'm busty, mama full. Um,
Not
and
full.
but they were like, but you were exactly what we needed. And I feel like a lot of times I go up for these roles and
Hmm.
people are like, oh, you don't look like what I need. So
Or they
they don't
typecast you.
so they typecast me. And I used
Mhm.
to be like, you know what? Typecast me, just give me that check. But when it's
Yeah.
free, you're like, wait a minute, like,
Yeah.
I'm good enough to do this part. I'm good enough to be, the sexy vixen chick. Like, I got all these kids. I got something. You know what I mean? So it's like I
But you
don't
know
have
what
to
I've
be
learned to do?
what?
So if I'm doing a free project, I've learned to supplement it with something else. Meaning either it becomes content for my show, my uh podcast, or I
Hmm.
got my jewelry table sitting out front, or because people don't realize, especially in theater, even the people that's making money, it still can take them years to
Yeah,
be a commodity. You
yeah,
know, we see a lot of theatrical stars like a Felicia Rashad, like a Viola Davis. We see, we see them, but even Denzel, all of them were stage actors at first, but we normally see them once they get to that level, and we don't see
right.
the grind that is theater, especially black theater,
Hmm.
because we're still fighting for a seat at the table. We're still fighting
Mm.
to show that our content is valuable. This like the last piece that I did was Pearly. I was so pissed off because we got a critic that came that could not say anything bad about our acting. She
Hmm.
only spoke to the relevancy of the play itself. She spoke to the condition of the theater that we did the play in. She didn't speak
Really?
anything of our performances, because a play like Pearly speaks to white supremacy. You
Right, but
know,
mm,
but
mm,
in that still scares people to admit that I have those prejudices in me, even if I have black friends,
right.
or people of color in my family, I
Well,
can still be racist.
that's the number one racist line right there. I got black friends.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
my
okay, you really
granddaughter
don't
is
like us
black.
then.
How can I be racist?
Right.
because you have a black granddaughter and you are uncomfortable with that.
Yep.
So I if I hit myself over the head because I let people who chose uh to settle for less tell me that I was less
Mm.
because they had to settle for less. And
Mm.
I wanted, even in me being in college and doing theater, I wish I would have chosen my own path versus following after people who I thought was nurturing me, but were really using me and putting me up for what they want. Because I got tired of being a funny old man.
Yeah.
I knew I could do more, and there were moments that I let my light shine, and I still pulled back because I knew how uncomfortable people were around me
Right.
with themselves. So I let
Mhm.
my light dim, and it's a biggest regret because I've always wanted to be an actor, and watching a lot of these films, it put me in a different space because I wish I was strong enough to just leave
Yeah.
when I wanted to, versus stay too long at the party and have to settle for the crumbs on the floor, not even on the table. But yeah,
Mm.
yeah, a lot of these films, this especially all about Eve, if I watched that yesterday,
Uh-huh.
um, and I purposely let that be last because I already had seen the movie, so I purposely waited to made that last. And I just remember watching it and just getting mad all over again over the career that I've had as an actor,
Yeah.
because I really settled for less, and being called difficult was the last thing I wanted to be called in this artist world. And I think Monique said it, calling a black actor, and she was speaking about black women, but calling a black actor in general is difficult. It's the kiss of death,
Yep.
because the community up there is so small,
So
even on an
tiny.
international level, it's so small.
Yep.
Um, and if somebody thinks you difficult, then you're not hireable, and
Mm.
it's hard. It's hard. But I also, I've tried hard to never be an Eve. I
Yeah.
don't ever want to take something that doesn't belong to me.
I'm not gonna lie though, because typically what happens, and I think maybe it's just, I think that's just my way of learning things, is
Uh-huh.
that I do learn all the lines in the play. Not for me to be I know that sucks. But I do.
Ah,
I learn all the lines in the play, not because I want to be an Eve, but for me it just, I don't know. It's just,
but
it
it's
works
it's
for me.
it's it's a but it's a challenge. You see it more as a challenge. It's
Yeah.
not about getting rid of the other person. I've never seen that in you.
I mean,
You know,
there was this one show I was like, "Ooh, you know what?"
but that's a competitive nature. It's something totally
I was
different.
like, don't let
Eve
that hoe fall
wanted
down the steps."
right. Eve wanted her life
Yeah.
from her man to her friends to her career. Eve
Yeah.
wanted her life. And she sit in that dressing room that first time she met her and told her that. But it,
Mhm.
it was clouded in admiration and love and respect.
Right.
But when someone takes that type of time in today's world to do that, they want what you got without you.
Mm. Like
And
they don't even want you to exist.
Eve was so right. She was so hungry for admiration that
Mhm.
she let this lady come in her life and wreck. You let her into your home. Hell no.
Right.
Mm-mm. No, I don't know a fan that I want in my home.
At all.
Mm-mm. No good. No, thank you.
Like
No,
I don't
thank
even
you.
want
We
you
can
to.
FaceTime.
Right.
And let me turn my camera off because I don't want to even give you a glimpse.
I don't want you to see what's in my background. I don't want you to
Mm-mm.
see nothing.
Nope. Let me block you from seeing my friend list on social
Right.
media.
Exactly.
And I've done that because that person exists in many of our worlds, and I've worked hard not to be that.
Yeah.
I probably worked too hard where I began to do the reverse and just give away my opportunities. But I don't ever this if you watch this and you love it for Eve, I don't want to deal with you.
You can't be my friend.
You cannot be my friend. I don't deal
Mm-mm,
with you on that level
at
because
all. Because
you
you
is
can't be
not to be
trusted.
trusted. No,
You cannot be
no,
trusted.
not at all,
You
not at
want you
all.
want everything I got. That's what that meant to me.
If you could have directed any of these films, which one would it be?
Mm. If I could have directed any of the films,
Uh huh.
that's a good question. I'm not sure.
If you could have acted in any of them, other than All
I
About
mean,
Eve,
why?
which
Why?
one would it be?
Why?
Because I
Why
already
can't we?
know who you would be. That'll be
Why can't I say all about Eve? Why can't I say all about
because
Eve?
that's a given. We already know you would want to be in that.
Why can't I say all about Eve?
But
I like to be in Psycho,
mm, would you want the
but
lead role?
I would want to be. I would want. I would want to be a guy and be Norman Bates. I would want to be.
I can't.
I'm so serious
Mm,
because for me it was like I like I told you I like crazy. So I mean, if I
hmm
had to be the lady in it, I would probably pick Carmen Jones because I would like to be something other than what I normally am.
That would that I see that role because she was so it was a tragic role and very unfortunate, but she was very selfish and very I've always wanted to be something, and that's why I was that one movie I was that one play I was in. I was going to be something that I never was. I was going to be the devil
Right,
in this movie in this play, and I wanted to do it so bad because I'm always the friend role or you know, the something not typical of me.
right.
That they normally cast me as, and I always want to be something else. And if I had to choose in terms of being in one of these,
Hmm.
I think I would have chosen. Um, I think I would have chosen Some Like It Hot,
Really?
only because it would have just made me uncomfortable
Okay.
to be one of the guys.
Hmm.
Cause I tried to be Miss Raj once. I put together this variety show for Artscape one time when they
Uh-huh.
was paying us to be performers, like
Uh,
not like now.
right.
And I put together this package of scenes and monologues. And I tried to be Miss Raj, and I could not like I was supposed to
Oh,
change
Father.
into Miss Raj,
Uh-huh.
and I could not. I had the outfit on, but I could not put the wig on, and I couldn't put the heels on.
He
I
was
don't
like,
know.
mm-mm.
It was like I had them set up in stations around the stage where I was
Mhm.
transforming to the characters, and I saw them, and I was like, nah, today, nah. But it was still something that I really want to do Miss Raj one day
Yeah.
and do it well. But I think that's why I said I would want to do something like it high. Just not even, for the typical reason everybody think is demasculating. And what is demasculating is calling somebody not a man. That's what's demasculating.
Right.
But the comfort I want something that takes me out of my comfort zone
Yeah.
and either forces me to tell my truth or a truth that I'm uncomfortable with, a random truth. But I want
Mhm.
really going to take me out. But in terms of directing, I would have directed this one. I would have
you
directed
won't.
that
e-
one.
You won't even say his name. You like this one.
Because it needed help. Somebody needed to challenge her, and I think people just treated her as this pretty little lady and never challenged her to do more. And I see that in myself. People are
Mhm.
I think people are uncomfortable telling me the truth or
Mhm.
confronting me on even when I'm doing something bad. And in theater, you need a director that's not afraid to say that is horrible.
Right.
That is not good. And not from what they would do. I've had directors who were secretly actors who just wanted me to make the decision that they would make.
Oh wow.
But
Yeah.
at that point, I'm a puppet. I'm not an
Right.
actor.
And I'm nobody's puppet.
Right.
Shit.
But I think this has been a great conversation.
I
In
so
terms
enjoyed it.
of Hollywood and how, what are your top five
Uh-uh.
movies?
My what?
Your top five movies.
Um okay. So All About Eve would be probably number two because Gone with the Wind is my favorite movie. So it would be
Oh my
Gone with the
God,
Wind.
I'm dying.
You're gonna be like, it's all white people movies. That's what you're gonna say. Gone with the
Mm-mm.
Wind, All About Eve, Now Voyager, Wuthering Heights. Yeah, that's it. Only have four.
Oh my God.
I,
Representation is everything. This is why representation is so important.
no, okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just, we have been seen or been given the opportunities as many of these white films have,
Yeah.
many of us would have different perspectives. And I'm not saying anything wrong with your perspective,
Oh,
but
I
that's
know nothing wrong with my perspective.
I'm just saying I'm not devaluing what you like and saying that. But
Okay.
that's why many of us don't gravitate towards our pieces
But I'll be
because
honest with
the
you,
quality is poor.
a lot of times for me, it's just I get tired of seeing the same faces,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And that's what bothers me
And
the
rotation.
most. It's
Yep.
like the same face over and over again.
Yep.
And this is not to discredit anybody, but it's like, oh my gosh, like why didn't y'all look towards Jeffrey Wright? Why didn't y'all look towards Don Cheadle a little bit more in this movie? Or you know what I mean? Or even Forrest Whitaker, like he's getting, momentum and things like that. But I get tired. I get so tired
But
of the
Forest
same
Whitaker is
faces.
just as good as Denzel Washington. But they
But
always put Denzel Washington in movies.
and I don't particularly think Denzel Washington is the greatest actor.
You
I
know what?
know.
I don't like him on stage.
Oh, listen,
I don't
because
think he went to that play with us, but we got to see him in Julius Caesar on Broadway.
no,
I was
I
like,
watched that because somebody taped it and I saw it on like a YouTube or something, and I watched him and I was like, oh, he's not good. And to be honest with you, if I'm very honest about myself and how bougie I am when it comes to people who are performers,
are
my
you
thing
really
is
though?
I am. I'm
Oh
very bougie when it
wow.
comes to that. But my thing is, if you cannot perform on stage, that's how I measure everything. I don't
Yeah,
measure people by film and television. I
yeah.
measure you by stage acting because to me, and this is still not to discredit anybody who does
Hmm.
TV and film, but for me,
It's not the same.
it's not the same. And for me, stage acting is acting because you don't get another shot. You don't get to
Right.
cut. You don't get to say, okay, let's roll it again and redo
Yeah.
it. You don't get that. It's one shot. You
It's one
make
of the
it, you don't
reasons
make
why
it.
I'm frustrated with myself. I can't blame the people who I let nurture me or guide me. I'm frustrated with myself because even in those opportunities where I got to be, I was great. I knew I was holding back
Right.
because I didn't think I was enough as a performer.
Mm.
Now outside, don't fuck with me because I know how good I am. But on stage, it's a vulnerability that I had, and I can speak in a past tense now because
Hmm.
Pearly. It took me doing Pearly that to figure out, do you?
Yeah.
And for so long, I let other people shine, and there's nothing
Mm.
wrong with giving people their spotlight, but not at the risk of
You.
dimming your light.
Right.
They have to, we can stand together.
Hmm.
It's not, but that's something that we have in our especially as black artists. It's just that's the top five. It's always the top five. I'm tired of seeing Viola Davis and everything. I'm
Mm.
tired of seeing
Yeah.
her and everything. If she would have did, and I don't want to see her in another one of the August Wilsons plays the film. I don't want to see it in another one. I'm sorry.
Not nary one, because I'm gonna tell you something. And you probably talked about it last season, and I'm not gonna get into
Mhm.
great detail, but I was not pleased with Fences. I was not pleased.
Um,
I was not pleased with Fences. And
I
to the
think
point.
I think them now. I got to see them on Broadway doing that. Both of them did so great in the play. Even Denzel Washington was really
Mhm.
great in the play. I think they relied too much on, oh, we did this before, we can do this,
Yeah, because she missed some
and
lines
he
in that
directed
monologue.
it. Yeah, and they needed another director.
Yeah, not him.
Right. They needed another director. I would have loved to see Spike Lee or um maybe not or Felicia Rashad or Debbie Allen direct them
Mm.
versus him directing them.
I would have liked to see Debbie Allen do it.
Yeah.
That's a really good suggestion right there. That would have
Yeah.
been, yeah.
I
Because
would
they talking about what's that guy name that did directed Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, George Wolf.
uh-huh.
They're talking about doing another they're talking about doing Toni Morrison's Bluest Eyes.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm a little intrigued by that because that book was, yeah,
Yeah, but
right.
they're gonna put the typical actors in it, and that's what
Right.
frustrates. And it's not just new faces, but people who have been doing this for years. Like, give somebody who isn't the pretty face.
Yep.
Michael B. Jordan was supposed to be in. I think he was supposed to play the son in a Coming to America or something. But I'm tired of because somebody has gotten a level of success, put them in everything,
Right.
but make stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
That's it's been very frustrating to me. And I've been told to my face what I'm not going to be and what I don't look like and what I
Hmm.
by people who I was told one time I was too thick to be Martin Luther King. By somebody
What?
over 400 pounds told me I was too thick to do something.
The irony of it all.
I'm not going to say his name, who was the chairperson of CAFA. But I'm just saying, like, don't tell me what I can't be because
Right.
you can't be.
Right.
Part of being an actor is acting. Part of being a student of acting is being teachable.
Right.
But you got to try to teach me before you tell me I'm not teachable or it's nothing you can do for me.
Yeah.
Because if we all just came to a play ready, what the hell is the reason for rehearsal? Learn your
Right.
lines and do the play.
Right.
We have rehearsals for a reason. But, this is what
Yeah.
old Hollywood movies bring out of me. New movies don't bring this out of me much because I don't really have higher expectations for them. But
I
a
got
lot
you.
of these older films really are set a high bar because they were so meticulous. Things that take months to do.
Mm-hmm.
Not even that the actors were always that great, but the spectacle, what it looked like, was so meticulously done and
Yeah.
handled that I put it at a higher bar and higher standard than something that took a week. Sorry, Tyler Perry, to make. I'm just saying, like, you can't
No,
brag
you're
on
right.
something being done in 4 days if it
You're
looked
right.
like it was done in two.
Yeah, but he knows his audience,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I try not to be I'm trying to not be as what is it, vocal or you know,
Outspoken because you
yeah,
definitely are thinking that. You're
critical
definitely
about certain things.
because you definitely are thinking it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it, but in my older age, I'm trying to be a little more polite.
Uh-huh. 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 But this has been another edition of the seventh edition of the Binge-worthy podcast of the second season. I'm very proud of this. George is working. He's away working, getting prepared for this integration back into normal schooling, or what is quote unquote normal, for our Baltimore public school system. So pray for him and all of the teachers, because it damn sure ain't gonna be me, that will be entering into this transition period, of reopening our schools back up. Um, Let people know where they can find you, and tell us a little bit about the Herbal Diva, if you
So you can
will.
find me on Facebook at the Herbal Diva. That's DEEV as in Victor, AH. I'm also on Instagram now at Herbal Diva. And I'm on
Okay.
Twitter as the Herbal
What?
Diva. I'm trying to expand my
I've
horizons
been
with the
seeing your
social
videos.
media.
I've been seeing them. I said, okay.
So I'm
The
out here
thug
just
got
trying to,
her warrants cleared because she out here showing her face. Okay. She got a clean record now. Okay.
I got a clean record. Nobody's after me. Nobody, looking for me or
Nobody's
nothing like
stalking
that.
you.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully nobody's
'Cause
stalking me.
we know.
Goldie.
Oh my God, I almost forgot about Golden.
Do you know when I used to, because I work, my job is located out that way, but I'm home remote. But every time I would go there, I had to go into that Target.
That
I would look for
Target.
him like, let me make sure I don't
We're gonna
see
say that
Goldie.
story for another time. Just know that she is pulling people in the parking lot. She is pulling them in the parking lot.
Fucking lot.
Saying that
There.
parking lot pimping.
You're
Okay.
crazy. You're crazy.
From the motherland. Okay. All right.
Welcome to Wakanda.
Ain't never seen an African with a gold teeth, but okay. I mean, whatever's clever.
You can't hear me laughing like this because all my kids is down here sleep next to me now. They all that came down on the couch and fell asleep.
Migrated down.
Right.
But definitely follow the urban. I keep calling you urban because you're so
It's the
urban.
herbal
Herbal with an
diva.
H. Herbal as an herbal essence. The urban herbal diva. And that's DEEVAH.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, that's me.
On social media, Facebook. I'm surprised she on Twitter because she be acting like she got real warrants in this world. But she's doing videos and she's selling these teas that's
Yes.
gonna help you, with various ailments and conditions and such.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to try them. I'm not a tea person because
But you know
it
what? I
tastes
have
like
a
hot
couple
water.
different things. I have a couple different things that I think you're gonna like. I
Do
might
it have
not give
fruit
you.
in it? I like fruity teas.
I do have one. It's called the Black of the Berry, and it's
Okay.
divine. And you could drink that hot or cold. And that's really not for any kind of ailments. That's really just one of those teas where I was like,
Yeah, I
you know
like an
what?
iced tea.
I like
Are
to
they
sit
less
sometimes.
potent if they're cold?
Are they less potent?
Yeah.
No. Because
Okay.
with the other teas, what you do, you still have to steep it for 15 to 20 minutes and let it sit.
Dang,
And
that's
then
a
you could
lot of
just drink
work.
it after that. Huh?
And this for the tea bag?
No, I get when you order a tea from me, I do include a tea ball because a lot of people don't have tea balls and things of that nature. So when
Okay.
you do get your teas, I include a tea ball. The
Look at
instructions
that.
are in the back.
Okay.
You go ahead, fill your tea ball up. And the good thing about these herbs is that the amount that I have you using can be reused for your second cup during the day.
Okay. I like that. I like that because
Yeah.
I hate a dollar store tea bag where
No,
that's
but because
it.
the dollar store doesn't even give you a full teaspoon. Like in
Uh-uh.
a tea bag, in your regular tea bag, you really don't even have.
It'd be the crumbs of the
Yeah, like you're
tea.
not even really getting anything. So I'm making sure that when you get this pack of herbs, you can see each and every herb that's listed in there.
Did you give your
And
website?
I did not. So it's the hyphen herbal hyphen diva dot square dot site. So
Okay, we
that's
can
my
work on
site
that
right
too.
now. I'm going to work on that. But right now we're up and running. We are currently sold out of all our burdock root, which is great for inflammation for anybody who's suffering from like gout or arthritis, because what that's
Uh-huh.
going to do is reduce inflammation. And then we mix it with some other kind of herbs that I don't want to give away because I don't want anybody making my blend. That
Oh,
help with
mm,
removing mucus from your system, because that's what a lot
okay.
of that stuff is, that the arthritis in your
Build
joints
up.
or build up. So,
Mhm.
the body has the ability to heal itself. I'm here to help you heal your body, and let's live long and prosperous.
Well, let's do that, and don't forget Binge Worthy Podcast. A new episode comes out every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, and click on the notification bell so you get alerted whenever a new episode is on. Don't forget we're on YouTube at www.youtube.com/C/The Artist Exchange. And peace out.
Peace.